Or number three, I just normalize it and I wear clothes like this and we all just normalize women having bulges sometimes because we're coming up on bikini season, baby, and you might see a bulge or two. So normalize the bulge. We are normalizing the bulge. Women can have bulges and that's okay. We're not gonna stare at their crotches while they're wearing their little shopping shorts at the mall.
I'm really sorry you had to see that. What is going on, everybody? Wired here. I hope you guys are having an excellent day. And I just want to go out and give a clap back, give an applaud to everybody out there who is participating in this boycott. First off, I want to give a huge shout out to Anheuser-Busch CEO, who did not come out the gate, did not effectively negate any of the stuff that is happening right now, did not give a proper response, not a proper apology. I would like to give a huge shout out to Alyssa Heinerschneit, the rich kid from Harvard University who has had a silver spoon in her mouth for her entire life, who is completely out of touch with the common people, doesn't know what Americans want, wanted to reform Bud Light from the fratty brand, quote unquote, from what it once was, and completely tanked it by $27 billion. And I would especially, probably the biggest contributor would be Mr. Dylan Mulvaney here, who was interjected into this, which caused this whole catastrophe to happen. Now, I have fantastic news to report here. After inciting conservative boycotts, and I'm going to use that in quotes because I don't think this is a conservative boycott. I think it's a conservative boycott, moderate boycott, sensible leftist boycott of not shoving these identity politics down of everything that we could possibly consume. And bigotry, of course, it's got to be bigotry. Bud Light loses its top spot among American beers. Ooh, shocker. I would never have imagined it. Could you? For more than 2 decades, Bud Light has been America's best-selling beer. But recent turmoil for the brand has caused it to lose its top spot. I can't even imagine that. Can you imagine having successful ad campaigns for 2 decades? The Budweiser Frogs, the Real Men of Genius, all to go down the drain in 1 month. But I am reminded by a quote, which I've repeated and I will keep repeating, by the brain, the bankroll, Mr. Arnold Rothstein. Reputation takes a lifetime to build, only seconds to destroy, and Bud Light is really feeling the shtick of that. In early April, the company contracted trans activist and actor Dylan Mulvaney, and I want to highlight actor there because I think that's very important for everything that's going on. Actor. For a very small social media campaign consisting of just a few posts. In celebration of the influencer's 1-year anniversary of transitioning, which that's categorically false. Bud Light also sent Mulvaney a one-off commemorative can featuring a likeness of her face. This angered several outspoken conservative public figures and pundits, starting with musician Kid Rock, who posted a video of himself crying and shooting packs of Bud Light before finally flipping off the camera. I don't think he was ever crying. I know I've actually made a couple videos about this. I've made a compilation on TikTok, best of the Bud Light boycott several times. Can't say I ever saw Kid Rock crying about that. So this seems like a whole rag here, but let's continue. Let's see how many more inconsistencies we can find. This led to an avalanche of bigotry or an avalanche of common sense, ranging from Derek Hunter, a columnist for Town Hall, calling the brand the groomer of beers, which I would agree with, to more recently Senator Ted Cruz of Texas launching a Senate investigation into the brand, which I don't know what that would even do, if that's grandstanding or not, but why not? When Bud Light eventually issued a tepid, "Can't we all just drink together?" response, it only angered conservatives more, while simultaneously invoking criticism for not disavowing the bigotry their campaign had inspired. The same week, Cruz announced a proposed Senate probe, the Human Rights Campaign, let Anheuser-Busch know that their corporate equality index score has been suspended effective immediately. And this is what this whole thing is actually about, really. It's about this specific score that will help you launch your product if you are more inclusive. But maybe not everybody is on board with that, especially things like beer brands or clothing for children or makeup products or shoes. as many companies are finding out. The index rates companies based on their commitment to the LGBTQ safety and equality, which is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not saying that these communities should be ostracized. I'm not saying they shouldn't be inclusive. But the fact that you are going to alter your successful business to try to get this specific score so they can give more money to you, it's like, it's almost like, why do I even pay taxes? Why does anybody pay taxes? When all these people get funneled money for doing absolutely nothing, just for virtue signaling and stuff like that, that's a whole nother tangent I'm not going to go into too specifically. But it does make you think. If you're an American citizen, you're in the middle class like I am, you probably work 40 hours a week. And which means you get taxed. And your taxes are going to these corporations who are now shoving these identity politics down your children's throats. That's the truth of the matter. That's no cap. Given this still simmering controversy, it's not really surprising that a new beer has dethroned Bud Light, which we are going to get into in a minute. I've talked about this before, and I will talk about it again. I will applaud them to the ends of the earth. Modelo Special has dethroned Bud Light. America has a new number one beer, and it isn't American. For the first time in over 2 decades, most popular beer in America isn't Bud Light. Modelo Special, a Mexican lager brewed by Grupo Modelo, which also produces Corona and Pacifico, is now statistically America's favorite beer. Well, I give them a clap for that. Probably wasn't hard to take the crown when the king fumbled so hard, but hey, still good for you. Just don't go woke, please. They probably won't. Or I hope they won't. I can't speculate because, the very important score coming down the pipeline. For a 4-week period ending on June 3rd, the south of the border brew accounted for 8.4% of retail beer sales in the United States, which put it firmly ahead of second place Bud Light, sales of which accounted for 7.3%, according to CNN. Double Evil ends Bud Light's reign atop the U.S. beer sales ranking after a staggering 22-year run. 22 years down the drain. All for one stupid score to try to get more money. And yet, I think the surprising thing is people still sponsor this person. They still sponsor this whole movement. They don't care about you. They don't care about America. They care about their bottom dollar. Which I get, obviously, to an extent. We live in a capitalistic society. I'm not saying I don't. Everyone cares about their money. But you should have principles. You should stand on them. And if you don't have any principles and you can't stand on something and you'll flip-flop for anything, then I would say, in my earnest opinion, become a politician. The ubiquitous cheap beer took over the top spot from the sister brand Budweiser back in 2001. Hadn't relinquished it until now. The elephant in the room, so to speak, is a portion of the population's recent boycott of the brand, which has likely contributed to its sales decline. Back on April 1st, yada yada yada, we all know that. Kid Rock, yada yada yada. I'm not going to repeat all this stuff. This is all stuff we already know. The downfall of the brand. Sponsoring Mulvaney, which they shouldn't have done. Alyssa Heinerstein coming out and saying the consumers are fratty people. They don't know anything. They should reform, which definitely insulted the people who are consuming the product. CEOs being absolutely silent on it for 3 weeks, a month, and then not really coming out with an apology, just coming out with a please keep buying our brand because people work there. And I do feel for those people. I've said that over and over again. I understand what blue collar work is. I've done it for many, many years. I really do get that, but that's not enough to keep a product going, in my opinion. Not sympathy points because there are blue collar workers there. Unfortunately for them, and I'm sorry if anyone listening works at a Bud Light facility. I really am. Because it's not fair to you. It's not fair to the truck drivers. It's not fair to middle management. But it is what it is. Anyway, I just want to give an update on how Bud Light is failing. They've been overthrown by a Modelo Special. And they completely deserve their failure. They've handled every possible thing in the wrong way. If after the Mulvaney thing they came up with an actual apology, some people would have been disassociated, of course. But some people would have probably accepted it and been like, oh, it's a one-off thing. If Alyssa Heinerstein hadn't opened her big mouth with her, millions and millions of dollars being a Nepo baby, people wouldn't have known. But we are where we are. And if Dylan Mulvaney wasn't the best grifter of 2022, and maybe into 2023, none of this would have happened. And also, if the Democrats weren't in power, maybe this woke identity politics stuff wouldn't be going on. Because, as I've said before, America hates your daughters. It really does. And I say that with a 7-year-old daughter myself. They don't care about your daughters. They really don't. And it's a shame. They want them to get beat out by biological men in every sport. They want to have this overtaken. And they don't care about your sons either. They want to have them all become women. I'm just hoping for a change. Because if nothing does change, we are all screwed. Anyway, that's a bit of a heavy take, but that's all I got. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for listening this long. I really do appreciate it. YouTube is going to put this down with the shadow ban, so probably only my subscribers are going to see that, but everyone who watches this to the end, I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening to my rant. I think this is important. I think it has to be said. And whether you consume it from me or another person, that's fine, whatever. I'm not, I just think it has to be heard. I really do. I'm trying to protect my country and my family, my daughter, over everything else. Because what's more important than family, right? Anyway, that's all I got. Catch you all in the next one. Later.